Hello, everyone. Welcome to Lotus Heart Tarot. I'm super happy to have you here. We are going to dive straight into your reading. I do like to begin my readings by thanking those of you who have been watching, liking, sharing my videos, who are subscribed to the channel. Thank you so much for all the ways that you guys support my channel. I do deeply appreciate it. If you're new to the channel, welcome, welcome. I am so happy to have you here. Just keep in mind that these are general readings, so take what resonates and leave the rest, okay? Pisces, you may not be aware of it yet, but a tapestry full of positive outcomes and spiritual blessings now permeates your aura. The gray clouds have lifted, replaced by a soft, radiant light. The past will soon be behind you. Let it go and embrace the positive times ahead. Pisces, this message comes out for you pretty much every single day. We can say things, we can hear things, we can want things, but until we believe things, until we really take them into our soul and truly believe them and give thanks for them, knowing that they already exist and they are already ours, we may not experience them, right? So definitely you're getting this message again, another confirmation that the darkest days are behind you, Pisces. On the bottom of the deck, you're getting within the transcendental realm of your soul. There are endless universes, each inconceivably vast and at the same time inconceivably small. Even in the tiniest particle of subatomic matter, there is an endless expansion. Creation is a cosmic motion picture in which you are both the director and actor. Look within and express outwardly the endless waves of love within you. May your love embrace the earth and fill all creation. Wow, guys, holy crap, I have the chills. Literally when I started to read that, I was brought back here to the past will soon be behind you. Literally, I kept getting it, I kept feeling it, and I even felt it like on my back, that is behind us. And so for some of you, there may be a bit of a message here. This is all about creation, and this is all about where we're going and what we're trying to create and what we're trying to create it with. And so the energy is, if you're trying to create love, be love. Let your love fill the expanse of the universe. And we do this through the expressions of gratitude. We do that by being aware. When someone touches us, even if it's your barista at Starbucks, when someone puts a smile on your face or says something witty or, makes you happy in some small way, or even a stranger walks past you and smiles on the street, giving thanks for these things, remembering that this truly is such a beautiful, bountiful universe. We are giving our energy to that when we are saying thank you for it, and we are calling more of it into our life. So I do have the feeling with the past here, there are disappointments, maybe some abandonment, maybe some neglect, maybe some, it feels like a rough patch of learning lessons, to be honest with you. A lot of, just things not going our way. And in order to really fully embrace this creative energy of being love and putting love out into the universe, we have to really let those things go. We have to let them go. We have to surrender them to the universe. And we have to accept that there's a reason why those things didn't work out and why we were disappointed and why we learned those lessons when we did. And I think it's going to be revealed here in what you're creating and what you're moving into. Before I met my husband, I dated someone for years. And I really thought, oh my gosh, this is my person. I don't ever want to be without this person. I can't imagine living without this person. No one ever saw one of us without the other one. He was my high school sweetheart that we dated through college. And I just couldn't imagine not being with him. And now I look back on that and I just kind of laugh. There have been so many times in my married life where I've honestly, like where I've been sick, or where I've, just so many times in my life where I've just thought, oh my gosh, thank God it worked out the way that it worked out. Thank God I didn't end up with him, He was very superficial. I doubt that he would have stayed with me had I gotten breast cancer, or, you know what I mean? Like, I thought those things. So, yeah. Sometimes you think there's no way this is ever going to be different than it is, or that I'm ever going to feel differently about it. But then you do. Yeah, I literally said you had a tough patch, Pisces. And it literally, this card says rough water. And this feels exactly like the texture of rough patch that I felt, that I thought when I was reading that about the past. Look at that. Gratitude. Oh my God. Woo, Pisces. You have 4 cards in the 50s here. So 4 cards with a 5 on it. You also have the 44 card, which is a master number. This is so incredibly interesting. All right, first of all, I'm getting from this card eclipse energy. I'm getting from this card the way the sun reflects off the moon. And sometimes the earth gets between them. And it's called shadow. Sometimes our shadows are sort of brought to the light. How do I even want to go about saying what I'm trying to say here? I notice in myself when I am going to go through a big transition, or I'm going through some kind of spiritual awakening. Like even the other day, if you watched my reading the other day where I really just opened up and let myself channel. I kept censoring myself, and I kept explaining myself, and I kept explaining where I was coming from. Sorry guys, that was my grand dog. I got a delivery and she's got to protect me. And it kind of was sort of amazing that happened at this time as I'm trying to find the words to say what I'm trying to say. So part of why I'm always saying to you, okay, like I'm coming from a yogic perspective, or I'm coming from the perspective that we're an energetic being, or this is where I'm coming from when I'm saying this to you. It's extremely important whenever you listen to anyone, a tarot card reader, the news, whomever, that you understand where they're coming from and what their background is and why they're saying things to you. And that's why some tarot card readers are going to really resonate with you, or some news channels are going to really resonate with you, and some aren't. You know what I'm saying? It's everything in life, though. It's like you kind of need to know where someone's coming from. And a lot of times with this shadow here, but it for me also is, as a kid, I was always invalidated. My opinion was always invalidated. I was always very criticized, So I always felt that I needed to show that my opinion was valid, or that I was coming from a position of knowing or understanding, or that I had some credibility behind me. And even if I did have all this credibility behind me, I would still be dismissed by my parents, by my grandfather, by, different people. Like, it was like, you're a kid, or you're a girl, or you're this, or you're that, or blah, blah. You're supposed to be seen and not heard, those kinds of energies. And so what you saw was something that I am still healing from, something that I'm still grappling with, right? And when you open yourself up completely to channeling, all of that stuff comes through. And it's kind of miraculous. It's kind of awesome because it gives you the opportunity to see it and kind of also see where you're at. And I kept stopping myself from doing that because I have been working on it and I have been healing from it. And I don't feel like I need to explain myself to anyone. Take it or leave it. I don't care. It's my opinion. You know what I mean? Kind of energy. But with this shadow, this energy of, man, how do I exactly want to say this? Ooh. When things come to the light, like that, when you can sort of be the observer of yourself, which, if for instance, someone, you have learned the lesson of the narcissist and being goaded by the narcissist and knowing that what they really want is your reaction. And you know this, and you've trained yourself, or you've tried to train yourself, or you've grown and learned and expanded, and you now know that what they want is that response. And so if you just ignore them and you don't give it to them, you win. You walk away with your head held high, you can sleep at night. But if you give them that response, you are going to be berating yourself for days on end, going, why did I do that? Why did I give in? I knew better than to give in. Why did I let them trigger me? Why did I emotionally respond? Anytime you have an emotional reaction, you're going to go through a whole lot of rigmarole, you with you. And it isn't worth it. And people do that to you. They trigger you in that way to put you in that position because what you're doing for them is you're processing their emotions for them. They can't handle it. They can't process it themselves. So when they trigger you and you respond and you react, then they get to say, oh, look at them. Look at how out of control they are. Look at how they, they had that terrible response, and like, look how good I am. Look how I don't respond. Look how I'm so much above them, kind of energy. And so, but even when we know, sometimes we still will react. We will still respond. We just do. We're human, and it's our human nature. And especially when we have been through some kind of narcissistic abuse, we're very protective of our boundaries. We're very protective of what we will and will not accept from other people. And we are not afraid to say, nope, you're not going to do that with me. But the thing is, sometimes the most valuable response is just observing, oh, that's what that person's trying to get me to do. If I continue to expose myself to that person, I may just give in and do it because I will be trying to protect myself. Like, I may have control over it most of the time, or I may be able to, like, this is how I was with my mom. I would say to myself, no matter what she does, no matter what she says, I'm not going to react. I'm not going to respond. I'm not going to do it. And the actual last time I ever spoke to my mom, I was at my mom's house with my sister, and my mom and my sister were in this horrible fight, and it was like turning physical. And I was like, oh my God. And, I mean, that had happened before, but like, also we're like really adults, and I had done all this yoga, and I was like in such this peaceful place. And so I said, guys, hold on, let's just take a deep breath here. And let's try to hear what each other are saying. I wasn't even involved in the argument at all. Okay. And both people were right and both people were wrong. That was my observation. And, And so I said, what I hear my sister saying is this. What I hear mom saying is this. And my mom just turned on me. She started going off on my husband. She started going off on my kids. Like, she knew that if you go for my husband or my kids, I'm gonna respond. So that's where you're gonna hit me, right? And so she started saying terrible things about my husband and my kids, her son-in-law and her grandchildren, were very amazing kids. So I turned and I just said, you know what? You're hitting below the belt. I didn't do anything to deserve that. I'm not, you two can work this out. I'm leaving. And my mom literally just turned all the rage she had on my sister on me and literally came at me. And so I just got my keys, got my purse, stayed very calm, and started walking for the front door. And my mom's yelling all these insults at me. And she's literally saying anything she can say in order to get me to react. And I was so in my place of calm that I knew that she had transgressed a boundary that I was never going to be able to come back from, and that I was probably never going to spend time with her again after what she was saying and how she was acting. I knew that no matter how high I elevated myself, no matter how far I went, no matter what I did, it wasn't going to stop her from coming at me. And I knew that if I kept exposing myself to it, I would eventually react. And I wasn't willing to put myself in that situation. So she came to the door. I'm getting in my car. Meanwhile, we live in the same neighborhood. She lives like 2 blocks away from me. Everyone knows me. Everyone's out walking. And my mom is screaming from the front door as I'm getting in my car. I hate you. Don't even come to my funeral. I don't want anything to do with you ever again. Don't come to my funeral. And she slammed the front door. It's the last thing my mom ever said to me. And guess what? I didn't go to her funeral. So there's this energy here of knowing that we as people we are human, and we are going to have human responses to things. And at the same time, we are complex, and we're far wiser and far braver and far stronger than we realize we are. There never came a time in my life where I ever even thought I would contemplate living on the planet, having my parents be alive and not speak to them. Being an orphan, just all of those things, and I was really programmed to believe that I came from a good family. You know what I mean? We looked like it in our Christmas card picture. And people would always say, oh, you have such an amazing mom. Oh, you have, this about your sister and that about your brother and da-da-da-da-da. And you know what? I don't speak to any of them. And I'm so much happier. But that's really not the point here. The point is, it's recognizing that there are these unavoidable moments that show us where we are with our shadows, that show us where we are with that human side of us that dips below the midline, that spectrum that's always seen, it's always there, even if we don't see it. Do you see what I'm saying? And it's sort of acknowledging that as part of the human experience, and forgiving ourselves for the times that we have gone there, because it is part of being human. It is part of the experience. It's part of learning. It's part of growing. It's part of also recognizing our light. Without the shadow, you cannot, the light would have no purpose. The light only has purpose because it has contrast with the shadow. The light would be nothing. It would be empty. It would be blank. It would just be bliss all the time, every day, every minute, if we didn't have this shadow energy here. And the shadow is how we know that this is the light, So there's this energy with this forgiveness and this shadow. and this kind of eclipse energy. It's like also recognizing that those are the moments that profoundly have changed us. You know, that day when I left my mom's and I called my husband and I said, you know, she was yelling this in the neighborhood, you know, out the front door as I'm walking away calmly, getting in my car. I didn't even say anything to her. I hadn't done anything wrong. Like, it wasn't about me. Only that I was trying to bring calm to the situation, and she needed to rage. And I said, you know, she said, don't come to my funeral. And I said, you know, I don't think I'm even going to go to her funeral. I said, I think I'm going to honor her wishes. And I think that's it. I think I'm done. And, you know, my husband had bared witness to my mom's, the way she treated me for, you know, over 20 years, and was just like, okay, you know, I think you can say you did everything you could do. I think you have transformed yourself. You have done everything you can to be the best version of yourself when dealing with the situation. You have, you know, and he was like, I'm so sorry. I'm just so freaking sorry. And, you know, I've just had to, you know, I've had to forgive her. I guess I didn't have to, but I have. You know, she was also human. And she clearly had something that was an angst within her that prevented her from being her highest and best self. And she either didn't know how to, or didn't have the strength, or didn't believe she had the strength. We all have the strength. We all have the strength. We are all made of the same stuff. We all have strength. We all have bravery. We all have every tool that we need. Deep within us lies that magician with every single tool we need to alchemize anything that we don't like about ourselves. Anything, or even it's not even like don't like about ourselves, but just to bring ourselves closer to the middle road. We all have shadow and we all have light. That's just the way it is. And, you know, we have to work to hug that middle line, to be in the healthiest part of the spectrum of being a spiritual being, having a human experience. We have to. And sometimes that means we have to let the past go. Sometimes that means we have to let people go. Sometimes that means we have to acknowledge that, like, wow, you know, as much as I wanted that to be, or as much as I hoped that would be, or whatever, maybe it just isn't meant to be. You know, maybe, you know, we have to open ourselves up to every possibility. I really believe that. And, you know, like I said, it was never even a possibility in my head that I not have a relationship with my mom. I actually had that advised to me so many times by so many people. And I was just like, that's ridiculous. I would never do that. No. You know what I mean? But that day when she crossed that line, and when I knew she was intentionally, her only goal was to hurt me and to make me react, I just knew I couldn't continue to put myself in that situation. That one of these days I was going to react. One of these days I was going to let myself down. And there was nothing for me to gain by continuing to put myself in that situation. That's not a relationship, you know? But I've, you know, my mom passed away over a year ago, and I have absolutely forgiven her. You know, she's human. She was, you know, she was a spiritual being having a human experience, and she was clearly conflicted, and she clearly, you know, had some things. But I also actively choose not to repeat that pattern. I actively choose to be a wholly different kind of mom, and I'm still figuring it out. I'm still trying to balance out, you know, what kind of mom do I want to be? What can I bring to my kids? But the number one thing that I think I bring that my mom didn't was just that I acknowledge that I'm human. My mom couldn't even say she was sorry. She couldn't even acknowledge, no matter what, if you had a fight with her, it was your fault. And you were the worst person in the world until you did enough to be forgiven by her. But I have forgiven her. I have forgiven myself for every time that I acted in a way that you know, if I could go back, maybe I would do it differently if I could, you know, knowing what I know now. Would I have done something differently at different times? Maybe not in that situation. I really look at that situation and I think, you know what, I think you did the best you could. But in a lot of other situations, you know, I was a kid, you know, right? But I've had to forgive myself. I've had to forgive her. I've had to forgive my dad. I've had to forgive my brother and my sister. I've had to forgive my aunts and uncles. I've had to forgive a lot of people. And just kind of keep my energy to myself, or at least just invest it in the places where it is reciprocated, and those people can meet me as deeply as I've met myself, you know, and they have met themselves. But this gratitude card, guys, I was literally talking about gratitude and about, you know, really feeling this energy of, you know, already having what we're trying to create in our lives and being grateful for it now. Because even the fact that the possibility exists is something to be grateful for. Even if we can't see where it could come from, we don't have to worry about that stuff. The universe takes care of that stuff. All we have to worry about is being our highest and best self and making our free will choices that support the kind of life we want to live. And part of that is gratitude, is expressing it, is, you know, I will sometimes think about, and I will send metta, like absolute love, to my children. I will send it to my husband when he's at work. I will send, you know, I'm sending metta out there to all of the people that I love, and really thinking about how fortunate I am, you know, to have such incredible people in my life, including you guys. But it's always kind of returning to this place. It's always like, this feels like, you know, when you, like my dad had a reel-to-reel tape player, and it had one of those like needles that went back and forth when the frequency would go up, right? Or the sound would go up. It was so cool to watch it, because it was so, I don't know, it was so sensitive or something, like the way that it moved. This feels like that to me. And it feels like how we keep ourselves out of these emotionally charged situations where we are kind of being exposed to our shadow is to continuously, when something comes up, like I'll have a memory, right, of an argument that I had with my mom, or an experience I had with my mom, or whatever. And if I go down that path of reliving it and retelling the story, I go through the entire emotional process of experiencing it again. My body doesn't know the difference, and I know that. I don't want to go through it. I've lived it. I've given too much energy to that part of my life already, right? So I don't want to go through it. So where do I go? I immediately go, you know what, I forgive myself for the way I handled myself in that situation. I forgive her for the way that she handled herself in that situation. And I return to this space of gratitude for who I love, for what I have, for every amazing thing. Even, you know, my mom, she was amazing at some things. You know, my mom took us to museums. My mom exposed us to a lot of things. She took us to a lot of national parks. She, you know, made sure that we were always like healthy and, you know, physically healthy. And, you know, she did a lot of good things. So I can always return to a space of gratitude for those things, even if I have also experienced some things that I just want to let go of, just want to release. But when we continue that pattern, when we sort of let it, you know, it's going to amplify sometimes. There's nothing we can do about it. Those thoughts are going to come into our mind. They're going to come into our heart. They're going to come into our space, right? Because we lived it. And when they do, our choice is to say, okay, you know what? It isn't really in my highest and best good to relive this again, to relitigate it, to go through it all over again, to put my body through it again. What is in my highest and best interest is to really meditate on this, and in terms of forgiveness, of just, you know, letting it go, releasing it, bringing it to a space of neutrality, not resisting it, not feeding into it, but just bringing it to a place of neutrality through forgiveness. And then the best way to raise our vibration so that that doesn't even resonate with us anymore is through the act of gratitude. You know, grief is kind of the price we pay for love. And I will say that when I, after that time when I had to really let go of my mom, it was very hard. I mean, it's my mom. No matter what, it is not an easy thing to just be like, okay, I'm moving away from a situation. And I've said this before on this channel, and I love that some of you also resonate with this song, but it was at the time that Fight Song by Rachel Platten came out. And I lived somewhere else at that time, and I had speakers in my whole house, and I would put that song on, and I would play it at just very high in my whole house. And I could just feel that song inside, like vibrating inside of myself, that Fight Song. This is my fight song, take back my life song, I'm all right song, and it was almost like I was convincing myself that I was okay, but I was also letting the music or the vibration or the frequency sort of like lift me up. But I was grieving. I mean, I look back and I'm like, no, I was abso-freaking-lutely grieving. I was grieving the loss, and grief is the price we pay for love. And, whether it's your mom, whether it's your ex, whether it's, your child, whether it's, whoever it is in your life, grief is the price we pay for love. Having loved someone and lost them, we're allowed to grieve that. No matter how justified we are, no matter how much better off we are without that person, no matter what, we have the right, and it is part of the natural process, the ebb and the flow of the experience of love, to grieve and to release and to let go. And it's always okay. It's always okay to cry in your pillow. It's always okay to sing into your vacuum cleaner wand or your wooden spoon or your hairbrush and dance around to whatever song lifts your soul, speaks to your spirit. That is okay. That grief allows us to go on. That grief and getting that out of our system brings us back to that space of trust that there is a reason for everything in the universe. And that, like at that time in my life, I was learning about soul contracts, and I was learning about this idea that we choose our parents, and this idea that, our soul has this desire to accomplish something in this life. And that if, and that everything that's in our life is sort of pre-agreed upon for the purpose of the elevation that our soul is yearning to make through this experience of being a soul, having a human experience. And, that helped me really come to a place of peace and acceptance. And, there are parts of what I learned that I really resonate with, and there are parts of what I learned that, I struggle with. I am also Catholic. I am also, I'm a multitude of things. I'm not just one thing. And so, but overall, I really believe in the power of love and the frequency of love, and that love heals all things, bears all things. It is, we are automatically unconditionally loved by our Creator. There's just no doubt in my mind. Every single one of us, we are all unconditionally loved. And even just tuning into that frequency and the gratitude of that frequency, my God, will raise your frequency so fast. But there is this trust that, yeah, everything is unfolding exactly as it's supposed to, even the parts that hurt, even the parts that make us suffer, even the parts that are so dark and heavy and hard that we don't know what's on the other side or if we even have the capacity to get there. Also, trust in your own strength, trust in your own tools, trust in your own ability to get there. Pisces, I feel like you have already transgressed this time. I feel like you are on the other side of this time. I also feel like there is something that is being revealed at this time that harkens back to whatever this experience was for you. It's almost as if whatever you learned in this rough patch or these rough waters that you navigated as a person, there is either some reward or there is some reveal or there is some opportunity. I'm feeling a lot of ace energy here. There may even be an opportunity for relationships that are different than the ones that you'd experienced in the past. There may be, it's like I started off this conversation talking about, like my first love. Like, yeah, I guess I don't even know if I loved him looking back on it. I mean, I really thought I did at the time. But now love has such a different meaning to me than it did back then. That was like 30 years ago. More than that, actually. But I started off this conversation talking about that and how, now my experience, having been married for almost 30 years to my husband, it's done nothing but illuminate like how meant to be that loss was. And that loss was a loss for a moment, but in the end, ultimately, it was a huge gain in my life. Like, the best thing that ever happened to me was my husband. So I couldn't have my husband if I hadn't lost him, So there is, and then it comes back to the gratitude of just being grateful that, things happened the way they did. Wow. Pisces, you're getting subconscious mind, later dude, back together, and magical mindset. Okay, I'm getting a few things here. The first thing I'm just going to say, what I'm getting is, it's, okay, I'm feeling someone may have traveled or there may have been some trip with this suitcase on the later dude card. It's like, with the subconscious mind here, there's something here, it's like, that we may not be completely aware of that we're thinking, or that it's like could have been, I don't know, sabotaging something. But it feels like, when you have when there's like music playing and you can sort of hear it but you can't really hear it and you don't really know what the song is, and it's sort of driving you crazy because you don't really know what it is, and sometimes you think you know what it is but then you don't know what it is, and it's irritating. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, but it's irritating. And it feels a little bit like there's something like that where it's not, I wouldn't maybe say that you're irritated by it, but you're, it's like you can't quite put your finger on it. I don't know what it is, right? But it's like, it just, maybe it doesn't feel right, or, And yet there's this almost this energy of like, I don't want to self-sabotage by letting this thing that I can't even really put my finger on be a real thing when it's probably not a real thing. It really feels like that energy of like, I can't really make out the song, but but the music is playing, but I can't control the volume, but I can't, how do I get this whole thing going on? And it's sort of like, when you're in that situation, it's like you have to just sort of leave that space where that music is playing when you don't have control over the volume and you can't fix it for yourself. And so it almost feels like there's some kind of vacation or some kind of trip or some kind of distance there. It literally could be a separation. Like it's like I just need some time or some space away to just sort of figure out what this is. And so you have this like later dude energy, and it feels like getting space from something that is, I kind of want to say not making total sense, but it's like I don't need it to make sense necessarily. Even trying to put my finger on it, like to even talk to you about it is really hard. But then you have this energy of back together, and then you have this energy of magical mindset. And so it feels like a reset button. You know what I'm saying? It feels like whatever it was, that separation, that distance, that travel. Maybe you went and saw something and it was really inspiring, and you thought, man, I really want to tell that person, or I really want to talk to that person, or I really want to, and it's shifted something. It's like going from honestly, a whole gamut of things just ran through my mind. And what I ended up with was, I don't know how I feel about you till I know how I feel about you. So, and that sits right with me. That sits the rightest to me of all the things that my brain just put me through. And it's like, I'm starting to see how everything could work out. I'm starting to see how this could all come together. I'm starting to see that maybe, this is a perfect fit, or, like I'm starting to understand where this person comes into my life. And then there's this energy of emotional intimacy on the bottom of the deck, which is saying like there's a greater level of emotional intimacy because that volume, that music isn't playing at that super low volume anymore. Whatever that is, it worked out. It like, something transformed, and it feels like through space or silence or absence. For some of you, this could be a relationship where we're constantly sabotaging, or where our thoughts are not supportive of the relationship. Even if you're going through all the motions of having the right relationship, or you think you're just keeping it to yourself. You don't think other people are aware, or the other person is aware of how you're feeling or thinking. Yeah, they are. It's all energetic. And your thoughts dictate your reality. So even if you're going through the motions of having it all be right, those thoughts are affecting the relationship. So it could be something like that where, there actually was a breakup or a separation or a split up. And now it was necessary, and now it's like we're both in the right energy here to like bring this back together and to try. Because what I realized in your absence is kind of how much I don't want to be absent from you is sort of it. And that was the thing that I never had the chance to find out before, or something like that. Okay, something is going on here. All right. Oh, Pisces, I just never know where these readings are going anymore. Yeah, damn, if that's not the low volume music, I don't know what is. Where is the card that fell on the floor? Oh my God, it's Temperance. Wow, guys, holy. This is a soulmate relationship, okay? And it's something that is trying to come together. It even feels divinely brought together. This really does. It feels like, you know, with temperance, I've said this to you many times. You guys have gotten temperance so freaking much. That there's something coming together a little bit. It's coming together in an organic way, but it's coming together slowly. The energy of temperance requires patience. This is funny. I just literally made this like caramel cream cheese brownie tort cake thing for New Year's Eve. And you have to temper your chocolate. And like the directions said, like, you can microwave the chocolate or whatever, but you have to be very careful. And I tried to microwave the chocolate, and I over microwaved it, and the chocolate seizes when you do that. And you can't save it, you can't rescue it, you have to start over again. And so I was like, why am I doing it like this? Let me slow down. Let me take a breath. Let me enjoy baking the way that I enjoy baking. Like, let me do it the right way. I have a double broiler. I have everything that I need. And so I slowed down and I did it right. And it worked out and it turned out and it's beautiful. You know what I mean? But there's this energy of with this temperance card of, I guess it is human nature to kind of want to rush something, or to kind of want to do it the easiest way possible, or to kind of say, you know, okay, this is available to me. Why wouldn't I just do this? And so it's almost like we're presented with this soulmate, or we're presented with this partnership, or this person, or this opportunity for this connection or this relationship. And it's like, why waste time? I found you, you found me, like, what, you know, let's do this. Oh, I just heard Fools Rush In. What is that song, Fools Rush In? Anyway, and, you know, but it's kind of like, why do we have to take our time? Why do we have to go slow? Why do we have to do it this way? Well, you know, I just heard good, better, best. I don't even know. I don't usually say things like that, but good, better, best. There's a good, a better, and a best way to do things. And it feels like to me like the best way to do something here is not the shortcut way or the fast way, but the way of, you know, taking our time and just sort of letting it evolve a little by little. And yeah, it is having a lot of trust. It is having a lot of faith. But here we have the Four of Pentacles with the Knight of Pentacles, which is that energy of feeling like the volume is turned down so that you can hear it, but you can't really tell what it is. And it's kind of irritating. It's kind of driving you crazy. And so it may almost even feel like, okay, we can take it slow, whatever. But then there's also this, but my human mind may not necessarily understand why. One, because we have found each other, and because finding each other feels like the hard part, why we're not just diving in like the Fool card energy. Like we're not just taking the leap of faith off the cliff. We're not just going for it. Like, we found this soul connection here, this Two of Cups opportunity in our life. Like, why wouldn't we just dive into it? And it may even feel unhealthy, or you're like, you know, when you have experienced trauma, right, your brain gets used to the chemicals that are released from those traumatic situations, right? So then when you're in a healthy situation, it can feel very unhealthy, or it can feel even boring, right? Because you're not releasing those chemicals in your brain. Holy crap, you guys, this is nuts. because your brain isn't releasing those, like the chemicals that are released when you're in toxic situations, when you're in that fight or flight mode. And so sometimes maybe it feels like something isn't right, or it isn't happening right, or there's something wrong, or there's something that should be that isn't, or something like that, when in reality it's just that what's missing is that toxicity. What's missing is exactly what made it not work all of those times. What is there is what makes it work, is what makes it have longevity. With that Knight of Pentacles and the Four of Pentacles, it feels like there's an energy of holding back, but yet the Knight of Pentacles is the only knight that crosses the finish line. He's the one that just puts one foot in front of the other and takes solid and stable steps in the right direction, with intention and mindfulness. And he makes progress, however slowly. So there may be I'm holding back, like I don't know, like I'm getting so many crazy analogies. Like if I buy a sports car, right, and I just drive it off the lot onto the Autobahn, and I open it wide open to 160 miles an hour immediately, like first thing I do in the car, then I have almost like nothing left to discover about the car. Then my climax of my purchase has already happened within the first 5 minutes. If I, take that car on the highway by my house that doesn't have anybody on it, and I take it up to the speed limit, because we don't break the law here at Lotus Art Tarot ever, and then I get to go on a different place where I can drive it. Like I take it on a mountain road, and I get to take the car around the mountain turns, and then I get to take the car along Route 60, and then I get to take the car up the California coast and drive it along the cliffs, and then I take the car to the Autobahn. You see what I'm saying? I'm building up to it, I'm working up to it, and by the time I get it to the Autobahn and I get to take it wide open, I have so much love for this car, and I've built such a bond, and I understand the car, and I know the car, and so when I take it up that high, I'm not just getting some kind of like arbitrary high off of it. I'm feeling this connection to the machine and to the experience, and it's something that it's a memory and a space that I will be able to return back to for many, many years. It won't just be, I had this thrill where I got it up and then I was like, damn, I just spent, all this money on this car, and it was cool, it was fun, and I can do that all the time, but it's all very superficial and shallow. No, this is something that has developed, and that, now when I experience it, it's this very rich experience, and my feelings for the car are not just based on how fast it can go. It's how it hugged those mountain roads. It's how it protected me, or drove me, or was part of this incredible experience of seeing the cliffs off the California coast and the redwoods, or whatever. You see what I'm saying? I don't even know, like, these analogies, I don't know where they come from, but here's the thing. You have these two wands, and you have this temperance energy, which is where we're bringing two energies together. And it's kind of like, the two wands can sometimes be like, we're making the decision to go from here to go to here. So for some of you, it can be to go from, friendship to a deeper level of relationship. It can be, it can be just even the coming together of two passionate, desirous beings, and what you want and what I want and what we want as a connected pair, what we want from the connection itself. It can be any of those things, right? But it's, how do we come together? How do we bring this together in a way that we're both comfortable, that we're both seen, that we're both heard, that not one person's desires become the sole focus of the relationship. We're both unique individuals, and this is very much, look at this freaking card, you guys. You know how I have read to you from Cahill Gibran several times. If you haven't seen those videos, Cahill Gibran, the prophet, on, I think it's on marriage, and is like, let don't be this, don't join, don't become one. You stay you and they stay them, and the love becomes the moving shore between your souls, the moving water between the shores of your souls. And that is how you maintain a healthy relationship with healthy boundaries, and you do it properly. And with the temperance energy here, that is the energy of doing it properly, of not microwaving your chocolate, of, melting some chocolate and then tempering it with not melted chocolate. You know what I'm saying? So that it comes to the consistency and the right texture and the right everything, and is glossy and is in its highest form when you have completed what you are baking. I mean, yeah, sure, you can take the shortcut with the microwave, but it's not going to yield you the best result, and you run the risk of ruining your ingredients by, overcooking them and seasoning your chocolate. Anyway, you see what I'm saying, I hope. Then we have this energy, right, of that music turned way down, and where it just is like, gosh, if this was really supposed to be happening, wouldn't it be happening faster? Or we found each other, why aren't we coming together so quickly? Like, why aren't we just flying right to the good part? Like, why aren't we just jumping in, jumping off the cliff into each other's arms and living blissfully forever because we found each other? Like, isn't that celebration enough? Isn't that incredible enough? Isn't that the hard part? No, the hard part is melding those energies and is forming a healthy foundation of your relationship that you can continuously come back to. So interestingly enough, remember how I said there's like this gap here, there's like this space, there's like somebody takes a vacation or a trip, or maybe there's just a little like period where we're not really talking to each other or whatever. And you have hermit mode, and then you have the Knight of Swords, and that's exactly this energy that I got. It's like, okay, there's some kind of reset button that gets touched here. There's space. The Hermit is space. It is like distance. It is like I am by myself, and I'm really focused on what do I want in life? What is really important to me in life? That Star card energy. And it gives you the opportunity to be like, the person, oh, that person, that's what I really want. That is my wish fulfillment. Oh my gosh. And then when you come back together, you have a completely different mindset. That subconscious mind isn't sitting there on low volume driving you crazy saying, is there a problem here because of this? Is there a problem here because of that? Or whatever it's saying to you, or whatever it's, even that energy of I can't figure out what it's saying or what's happening. I just know something is driving me nuts. Or isn't sitting right with me, or is worrying me, or is causing me anxiety, or whatever it is, But once we are sure, because we've had that space, we've had that opportunity to see and to know, that's when we rush in. That's when we rush in with our truth, because we know our truth. That's when we go from, trying to protect our boundaries and trying to, establish this is my space. This is who I'm going to be in this relationship. That's who you're going to be in this relationship. We have a healthy boundary to I'm going to fight like hell for this relationship for the rest of my life. Oh, wow. Oh, man. Guys, holy God. So, yeah, there's definitely this energy of like stagnancy or indecision, or I'm not sure. I don't know. I need to take a space, or I need to have a moment. And it's coming from, you've got this Eight of Swords. And I hate to keep using this analogy, because if it's not resonating with someone, I'm so sorry. But this low volume, where it's like you can sort of tune it out, and then you start to notice it again. And then when you start to notice it again, you go, God, can I turn up the volume, or can I turn it off? And you're like, no, I can't, I don't have the volume control. Okay, what is the song? Maybe if I could figure out what the song is, then I could come to a place of peace and acceptance with the fact that this music is playing and that, I can't really hear it. And so you try to figure out the song, and then you come to a place where you're like, yeah, maybe it is that song. And then you're like, no, it's not that song. And then, you know what I'm saying? And you go through this cycle, and then you're like, oh my God, it's driving me crazy. I don't want to think about this anymore. And then you're kind of like, okay, maybe I'll take a break. Maybe I'll have some space, right? Or I have to get away from it. It's becoming overwhelming. This thought cycle is becoming overwhelming, and it's driving me nuts. And there is a fish on this card, so this may be you, Pisces, that's having this experience. But then you have the Sun, the Five of Pentacles, and the Knight of Swords. And that Sun is the clarity that I feel like comes from this space, maybe even that we're taking here with the Two of Swords, where it's like, I just don't know. I just can't think. I just can't figure it out. I just can't be sure. I just don't know. And with the Sun, with the Five of Pentacles, this is talking about that spectrum of light and dark of all the basic human fears that we all really suffer from. The fear of intimacy, the fear of abandonment, the fear of not being worthy, those fears, right? And it's kind of like, wow, that low volume energy, that thing that's kind of holding me back. And these are the things that get triggered when we try to come together with somebody, right? No matter what. These things, even if you're a secure attachment style person, you're going to be like, can I trust this person? Do I trust this person with my life? Do I really think this person's being faithful to me? You're not going to be anxious about it, and you're not going to be avoidant about it, but you're still going to think it. You're still going to have a moment with it, even if you're a secure attachment style. And so sometimes when things are moving slow and it feels like, well, if this is really my person, or if this is really my situation, or whatever qualifications or shoulds or shouldn'ts that we put on ourselves and our relationships and others, we're going to be like, okay, maybe there's a problem, or maybe there's this, or maybe I shouldn't be so fast to trust this person, or maybe, maybe this person isn't really, in it as much as I'm in it, or, how do I really know what this person is thinking or feeling? And, I don't want to have this conversation, or I don't want to be needy, or I don't want this, or I don't want that. And, to a certain extent, it's like, if I'm a secure attachment style, I'm not going to have that conversation. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to indulge those lower vibrational tendencies. I'm going to see them. I'm going to know that they're lower vibrational tendencies. And I'm going to be like, stop. You don't need to worry about that stuff. If it's meant to be, if this person is the person for you, they're not cheating on you. They're not thinking about other people. They have taken their Tinder profile down or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have anything to worry about. And if they have those things up, then they're not for you, and it's better to find out now than to get, 10 months down the road and find it out. But there's this real awareness of, okay, whoa, these are the basic human fears. And with that Knight of Swords, it sort of feels like, I'm going to take charge of this situation. I'm not going to let this situation take charge of me. And the Sun can also talk about a reconciliation of soulmates, and the Sun can also talk about healing energy and clarity energy. So it does feel like there is this clarity that, like, okay, wow, what I'm experiencing and what is keeping my mind really tied up in this, and is kind of entrapping me in this energy of, I can't decide, and I don't know, and I'm not sure. They're just my basic human fears. And I can sort of look at them, I can sort of bring clarity to them, and I can sort of ask myself, is this valid? Has this person done something to make me question their loyalty? Has this person, been consistent and shown up? Actions speak much louder than words. Am I just hearing them say these things, or are they actually, implementing these actions toward me? And so let's see, let's clarify. Yeah, you're going to think something to death. How interesting. For some of you, this may be a past person that's coming back around that put you in a third-party situation or has been a bit in and out of your life, and it's hard to trust that they really are back in it, and that what they really do want is to put an end to the difficult times and to really show up and have a reconciliation here with you. For others of you, there are past situations where you've dealt with someone who was in and out and who wasn't reliable, who it's like, I don't know, I'm kind of just getting like left you with a bad taste in your mouth about people and about being able to trust people. And you know, the Ten of Swords is no joke. I mean, it's a very heavy energy. It's a very, very, very difficult energy. It's one of the darkest energies, right? It's one of those energies where you turn up fight song all the way up and you know, try to let what the grief move through you, right? But it's also one that's made a lot worse by our own mind, by what we're telling ourselves, what we're allowing ourselves to think. It's a very draining energy, and it's a cycle that I feel like has completed for you, but it has left you with that residue or that energy of kind of like it's hard to trust. It's hard to believe that that people are really honest and really trustworthy and really mean what they say and really come in to have what you are looking for, you know, with you. Wow. I do think this person has very serious intentions, Pisces. You have the King of Wands with Justice. This, you know, you may have dealt with someone in the past who was like, I really don't know what I want. What I want changes. I can't be tied down to just one thing. I want this relationship, but I also want my career. Or I want this relationship, but I also, you know, I have this ex that I'm just not quite over yet. This real non-committal energy. What you're dealing with here is a king of wands. I know what I want and I'm taking action in that to have it. My actions back up what my desires are. My actions tell you what it is that I want. With Justice here, there's definitely a soul contract, and this is someone who is very interested in sort of like doing the right thing, or even, especially with Justice in the Hierophant, they want a commitment. They want to put this on lockdown. They know what they want. When they see you, they know that you are it, and they want to put it on lockdown. But they are also probably someone who has also dealt with Knights of Wands, and they also want to be sure. They are making what for them is a major decision. This isn't someone who, you know, commits to a relationship and then bolts the next day. You know, this is someone who's going to work on it before they walk away from it. And so there is this energy of, it is a big decision for me. It is major for me to commit to someone. You know, I'm not a Knight of Wands, and I have dealt with Knights of Wands, and I've tried to make it work with the Knight of Wands, and I've ended up chasing people that weren't good for me, and probably learning my own lessons about trust, you know, through that experience. And so I need to make sure that you're also in it as committed as I am, and that you're also as sure about what you want as what I am, and that this is also a major decision for you, and that you are really committed. And this is spiritual. This absolutely is spiritual. This is not just on the level of, wow, I like the optics of this. We take great pictures together and post them on Instagram. This is like, no, this is like, you know, as close to death do us part as you get without, you know, maybe being married. Although it does feel like this is, you know, something that this person expects to lead toward marriage if they commit. Wow. For some of you, there's outside interference here. Man, I was not expecting this. Let me clarify this real quick. You have the Knight of Cups, the Knight of Pentacles, the Five of Swords, and the Five of Wands on the bottom of the deck. When you have two Knights, you may have more than one option. This would be you, Pisces. And like this can even be something that you may not realize, or it can be perceived. Yeah. So for some of you, this is perceived. Your person here is feeling like they need to come in and really, they need to give you something authentic, something real. They need to express themselves. They need to let their feelings be known here. And I feel like this is because, Pisces, you're in this Nine of Pentacles energy where this is the law of attraction. This is, you are single, you are abundant, you are successful, you are beautiful, or you are handsome, you're attractive, you're attracting maybe even other suitors, or if you haven't, you will. With the Five of Wands, this person definitely is like perceiving. So you have the Moon card here, and there's even a moon in this Five of Wands. It's this energy of like, it could be perceived, it could even be, you know, oh my God. It's like, whether I see it or not, I'm sure there are other people who are finding Pisces attractive and who are wanting to get with Pisces. And if there aren't already, there will be for sure, because Pisces is in this energy. Because I'm so attracted to Pisces, I am sure that there are other people that are going to come in and make a play for Pisces if I don't act on this. And so with the Five of Swords, you know, there's this careful balance between being motivated by this and defeating yourself by it. You know, because if you sit with these types of thoughts for too long, what ends up happening is you convince yourself that you're not good enough, or that there are other people that are better, or that Pisces could do better. You see what I'm saying? It starts to defeat you. It starts to have like the opposite effect. You know what I mean? Where when you first think it, it can be really positive, and it can really actually motivate you to take a step that you actually really want to take, but you would be too afraid to take if you didn't think you had to take it, right? So I think this person is definitely wanting to make an offer, or they're wanting to present you with something. This is either someone who has been kind of holding back and you know, is more of like a secret admirer. The Page of Cups is called the Secret Admirer card, and is finally stepping forward to say, hey Pisces, I actually really like you and I'd like to take you on a date. Because the Page of Pentacles can be an offer of like a face-to-face date, or, you know, going out. Or if that has already happened, this can be where this person is actually coming forward to say, you know, I actually have developed feelings for you, with the Page of Cups. With the Moon card, something's going to get revealed here, I feel. Let's just see. Gosh, you guys, this is the longest reading in the world. I can't believe it. And I just looked up and I saw it, so. Wow. So somebody is definitely letting go of a way of thinking or something lower vibrational that was kind of holding them back, that was preventing them from taking a leap of faith. This person now feels pretty secure. This person is now feeling like, yeah, I have the wherewithal to offer this, or to bring about a change in this connection. I feel like they are, you know, they are someone who's aware of the role that their thoughts play, you know, in kind of preventing them from, taking action at times. With the Sun here, the Sun, you have the Devil in reverse, and then you have the Sun upright. This is someone who, it's like, I wasn't allowing myself to take a step, or I wasn't allowing myself to come forward. I was kind of giving in to those lower vibrational tendencies that keep me from doing my highest and best, or taking the action, or thinking the thoughts that are in my highest and best good. And I'm having a lot of clarity on that. It's just like the same, as that sun we saw earlier in the reading that was kind of bringing clarity to like, these are just my normal human fears that everyone has. You know what I mean? And it's kind of, it's releasing this person. That clarity is really releasing this person from what was holding them back, what was preventing them from kind of stepping up into more of a committed role, or more of a, like, kind of a solid and stable, like, partnership commitment type situation. And with the Wheel of Fortune and the Magician here, it's like there's a huge change that you're seeing in someone where they're really saying, you know what, I'm absolutely sure that I have all the tools to make this work, that I am strong enough, that I am brave enough, that I can alchemize this relationship into whatever it is, into whatever I want it to be, however I envision it to be, whatever, you know, this happiest idea that I have of it, I can take it there, I can make it happen. With the Queen of Swords, it's like I feel this person is putting a decision in your hands. I feel like they're not exactly sure what you're going to say. I don't think that they think it's just a slam dunk, that they can just ask this and that you're just going to be like, oh yeah, you know, because you still see the Five of Swords here. Yeah, but this person is like, they've made an agreement with their self that they're not going to let these thoughts burden them. You know, they're closing out this cycle for sure. And with the Six of Pentacles, it's like they want an equal give and take. And so it is sort of that energy of, okay, this is what I want and I'm sure about it. I've had the time and the space to like make peace with everything and to be very, very sure about it. And I have this kind of magical mindset. You have the Magician here and this magical mindset here where maybe they're even embracing everything is always working out for me, or this is definitely going to work out for me kind of energy. And it's like, I may not know what you're going to say, but I also know that there does come a point where it's like, I need to know. I need to know if we're on the same page. I need to know if we're both feeling the same thing for each other. I need to know that you know, if I offer you all of this, everything that I have to offer, are you going to take it? I need to know what your decision is, Queen of Swords. I think you're going to say yes. I mean, I think you're going to do it. I think that with the Queen of Swords, it's like she has that one hand open, extended, and then in her other hand, you know, she's got the sword. And I think you're definitely going to listen to what this person says. I think you're going to also listen to the things that they don't say. You know, I feel this is a highly intuitive thing. Her eyes are closed and her third eye has this symbol on it. You know, I feel like you're definitely going to take it all in, and you're definitely going to see how it resonates with you, and then you're definitely going to give your answer, the answer that's really in alignment with how you're feeling and how you're thinking, Pisces. But I do feel like this person is pretty solid, pretty stable, and pretty reliable. I mean, you got the King of Pentacles here with the Devil in reverse, which means they've really let go of the lower vibrational tendencies they have ever had that have kind of held them back in the past. All right, let's get some message cards and close this reading out at almost an hour and 20 minutes. My gosh, you guys. All right, here we go. With the water sign, I replay our conversations over and over. I love you unconditionally and you inspire me. See, I think there's been some space here, and someone in the absence, the heart has grown fonder. I watch your social, if you're dealing with a fire sign, I watch your social media. I wish things could be different. I want to make amends. And I wonder if you're happy without me. All right. And let's see, if you are dealing with an earth sign, you are getting, I can't reach out. I hope that you can forgive me one day. I want you so badly and I trusted you. If you are dealing with an air sign, you are getting, oh my gosh, the air sign really wants to talk. I'm starting to understand our connection. I knew exactly what I was doing. We need to let each other go. I left before you could leave me. I know I messed up everything. I am not available. We will be together again. Yeah, the air sign is all over the place. Give them a minute. They'll figure it out. All right, guys, this is what I have for you. This crazy complicated, I don't even know how we ended up here reading. But it's been a journey and it's been fun, and I thank you for joining me. And gosh, guys, please let me know if this resonates. Leave your comments. I love them. Like, share, subscribe. I deeply appreciate each and everything. All right. Until next time, guys, I'm sending you off with all my very best. Always, always, always.